Today's story is about a smuggler who was not a criminal or a member of any gang. Instead, he was a professional hockey player, who made his name in the history of marijuana smuggling. The most shocking thing is that during the same time he was playing hockey matches for a team, he was also carrying out marijuana smuggling between Canada and the USA. And the last time, he was caught with such a huge amount of marijuana that his entry into America was completely banned. So, who was this man? And what was the reason that forced a brilliant professional hockey player, at the peak of his career, to become a marijuana smuggler? And what happened to him after he was caught by the police will leave you shaken. The story begins in North Vancouver, British Columbia, where during the year 1975, the people living there were deeply interested in sports and other activities. Most of the youngsters there also participated in some sport or the other. And the sport that attracted them the most was ice hockey. Among these young people, there was a boy named Ryan John Phillips. He too was very influenced by this sport, and that was the reason he always wanted to become an NHL superstar. Let me tell you, NHL is the National Hockey League in which ice hockey matches are played. A total of 32 teams participate in it, out of which 25 are from the USA and 7 from Canada. At that time, it was the 5th richest sport in the world, and more people wanted to be part of it. Luckily, Ryan had a supportive father who was also his coach. Because of that, since childhood, he wore skates on his feet and practiced ice hockey. After playing many small matches and continuously practicing, Ryan's game kept improving day by day. And by the time he turned 16, he decided that he would play in the junior hockey leagues in Canada. The junior hockey league was the only way through which he could reach the NHL. But it was not going to be that easy. Ryan did get included in the junior hockey league, but he was unaware of the troubles waiting ahead of him. In the team he joined, because he was the youngest player, the other team members often beat him up and bullied him. The limit was crossed when once they knocked him unconscious, stripped off all his clothes, and when Ryan woke up the next morning in his bed, he was completely naked and had even wet the bed. After this incident, Ryan became very scared and started to feel that his dream of becoming a professional hockey player would never come true. Still, he somehow played all the league matches without telling anyone and returned home. This behavior of the team members had a very deep and bad impact on his mind. And since he had no friends, he started drinking alcohol as well. Meanwhile, a few days after reaching home, one night he went to a bar, where he met an old friend named Ken. Suddenly, after seeing each other, both became very happy. After this, Ken introduced Ryan to his other friends. During this time, Ryan noticed that Ken was spending money very lavishly. His curiosity grew a lot about how Ken was earning so much money. While Ryan was still wondering, Ken came to sit with him, and both started talking. During the conversation, Ken asked Ryan whether he was making money. In reply, Ryan told him the whole story of his team and also said that he was not making any money yet. Hearing this, Ken asked him if he would work with him, and without even knowing what the work was, Ryan immediately agreed. After this conversation, Ken told Ryan that he would come to meet him the next day, and also said that Ryan should keep his hockey kit bag ready. After this meeting, both of them left for their homes. Ryan was very happy and excited after this meeting because after a long time he had spent some good moments with someone. Now he started seeing a good friend and a good life ahead, because mostly in his hockey team, he had only seen bad behavior and loneliness. But he was unaware that from here his life was about to take a new turn. That night Ryan kept thinking restlessly about what work Ken was going to give him. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. When Ryan's mother opened the door, she saw Ken standing outside. But Ken lied in his introduction and told her that he was the owner of a music label and had come to meet Ryan. Ryan's mother hesitated but still let him in. Then Ken and Ryan went inside a room. And here began Ryan's life that he had never even imagined. Inside the room, Ken took out big packets of marijuana from his bag and placed them on the table in front of Ryan. Seeing this, Ryan's eyes widened in shock, and only one question was running through his mind: how could he make money from this marijuana? Let me tell you, in British Columbia, Canada, growing marijuana was a common thing, and marijuana was produced there in huge quantities. But in the United States, marijuana was completely illegal. Still, its demand was increasing every day across America, because of which people were taking all kinds of risks to smuggle it into the USA. In that closed room, Ken told Ryan that he would have to take these marijuana packets across the border into America, and in return, he would be paid a good amount of money. While talking, Ken even placed a 10-kilogram marijuana packet inside Ryan's hockey kit bag. Ryan had no other option but to agree, because he had no money, and this was the only way he could earn something. But the risk was equally high. 2 days after this meeting, Ryan sat in his car with the marijuana and left for the border. Since the border was only 1 hour and 15 minutes away from his home, he thought he would do this job easily. But during this time, Ryan looked into his car's rearview mirror and saw a police border patrol car following him. The moment he saw this, Ryan became very scared. Fearful thoughts started coming into his mind, and his heart began pounding rapidly. In this panic, Ryan almost decided to take a U-turn, but then he noticed that the border patrol car turned onto another road and disappeared from sight. Escaping this trouble, Ryan drove a little further, but near the border, a guard stopped him and asked him to show his passport. While checking, the guard asked him where he was going. Ryan looked straight into the guard's eyes and said that he was going to Washington to play a junior hockey match. When the guard felt everything was fine, he allowed Ryan to cross the border. And just like that, Ryan had completed his first successful smuggling. For this first smuggling, Ken gave Ryan $1,000. For Ryan, who had no job and was struggling to make a name in the world of hockey, this was a huge amount. Ryan got so addicted to this money that he carried out many more smuggling trips one after another, in which he earned between $1,000 and $10,000 for each trip. Now he too was spending money lavishly, just like he had seen Ken doing in the bar. Ryan started feeling that his life was finally back on track, as he had a good friend in Ken and was making a lot of money. But then, one day, Ryan received a letter by post from the Thunder East Hockey League. It was an offer letter inviting him to sign a contract and play for them. The moment Ryan and his parents read this letter, their happiness knew no bounds. They began to feel that now their son would fulfill both their dreams and his own. But this happiness did not last long. On the other side, before signing the contract, Ryan began to recall the bad behavior of his previous team members, who had bullied and beaten him. Once again, the same fear started haunting him, that it might happen again. But since he didn't want to let go of such a big club's offer, he signed the contract. Meanwhile, Ken was completely unaware that Ryan had signed the hockey league contract and would no longer do marijuana smuggling. A few days after signing the contract, Ryan's first match came. About 15,000 people had come to watch it. After many months, Ryan again wore skates and entered the ice. Within just a few minutes, he scored his first goal, after which the audience erupted in loud celebration. Among the cheering crowd, Ryan's eyes fell on a girl whose face was glowing with happiness. At that very moment, Ryan decided that he would make her his girlfriend. He told his trainer that he wanted to be friends with that girl and wanted to know her name. The very next day after the match, Ryan came to know that the girl's name was Nicole. Meanwhile, Ken was worried because he wasn't hearing from Ryan. A fear started haunting him. What if something bad had happened to Ryan? So Ken reached Ryan's house to find his address. Ryan's mother told him about the hockey league contract and said that Ryan had gone to America to play a hockey match. The moment Ken heard this, that very night he left for America. The next morning, after the match, he met Ryan and told him to rejoin the marijuana smuggling business because the business was growing rapidly and he needed him. Ryan told Ken that he needed some time to think. After thinking carefully, Ryan finally decided that now he would quit this work, because this was not the life he wanted to live. And along with that, he now wanted to spend his life with Nicole. Hearing Ryan's answer, Ken left, and Ryan again got busy with his matches and his game. But he was unaware that something was about to happen which would once again push him back into the world of marijuana smuggling. Because by playing for this club, Ryan had now become a famous hockey player, and that was why he started getting free alcohol at every bar. This free alcohol was mostly given to him by bartenders or his fans. Because of this, he would drink so much every time that two people had to drop him back home. And this became the reason he faced many problems in training the next day. Meanwhile, Ryan and Nicole had also started living together. One day, while both were sitting in the car driving towards their home, Nicole told him that she was pregnant. Hearing this shocked Ryan. He began to feel that he was only 20 years old, and he was not ready to take on such a big responsibility. Winter had arrived, and Ryan's team coach called a meeting on Christmas Day, where he told all the players that in 2 days they had a very important match. He strictly instructed that until then, no one was to drink alcohol. While the other team members followed the coach's instructions and stayed away from alcohol, Ryan drank so much on the night before the match that the next day he was unable to play. This time, the price he paid for drinking was that he was immediately thrown out of the team, and he lost his place in it. Ryan now understood that his hockey career was finished forever. That was when he decided to start marijuana smuggling again. And the first name that came to his mind was Ken. Ryan went many times to the same bar where they used to meet, but Ken never came. During this time, Ryan met another friend of his who used to play hockey with him. This friend had a connection at the USA-Canada border, because of which he would take $500 from people and let them cross the border without being checked. Hearing this, Ryan thought it was a golden opportunity that he could use to smuggle marijuana between Canada and America. So, Ryan started smuggling marijuana by collecting it from people here and there and taking it across from Canada into America. But Ken soon got to know about this. As soon as Ken realized, he began to think that Ryan had betrayed him and was smuggling on his own behind his back. Ken found Ryan, pointed a gun at him, and threatened him. Ryan was very scared by this. He had never thought that one day, while smuggling marijuana, he would have to face a gun. That was why he cut off all contact with Ken. Now, the biggest question in front of Ryan was how to carry out smuggling in such a way that neither Ken nor anyone else would know. And for that, he came up with a brilliant plan. By now, after smuggling for so long, Ryan had come to know most of the marijuana growers in British Columbia. So, this time he decided that he would cross the border with 50 kilograms of marijuana. While Ryan was preparing for this smuggling, and was packing all that marijuana into bags, Nicole walked into his room. She saw packets of marijuana lying all over the bed. The moment she saw this, her anger reached the skies. She told Ryan to immediately stop smuggling, or else he would either go to jail or be killed by someone's bullet. Nicole did not want Ryan to die and leave her alone, forcing her to raise their child all by herself. Because of this, the two of them had a huge argument. But Ryan did not listen to Nicole, and he continued packing his smuggling goods. When Nicole realized that Ryan was not going to stop, she decided to divorce him. She took their daughter and moved to America. Ryan had no idea that the very moment he left hockey and decided to return to marijuana smuggling, from that very moment, his life had begun moving toward destruction. So far, Ryan had only smuggled small packets in bags across the border. But this time, he had around 50 kilograms of marijuana. For this, he discovered a new route. Ryan knew very well that the Canadian border was huge, with a large forest spread all around it. Through this forest, there was a 12-kilometer road that went straight into America. To carry out this smuggling, Ryan formed a team of 4 people. He explained to all of them the smallest details of this route. Each person was supposed to carry 12 kilograms of marijuana with them. According to Ryan's plan, these 4 would cross the forest on foot separately, and hand over the marijuana packets to a man who would be waiting on the American side. Because this time the marijuana was so much, Ryan didn't want to take any risk. That was why he himself also decided to go with them. It took them almost 8 hours to cross the dense forest. When they reached the other side the next morning, they saw that the man who was supposed to take the marijuana had still not arrived. Ryan felt something was wrong. But a short while later, the man arrived in his car. Seeing this, Ryan sighed in relief. Ryan asked the man why he was so late. The answer shocked Ryan. The man told him that he suspected he was being followed. Hearing this, Ryan told everyone to hand over the shipment quickly and leave the place as soon as possible. But by then it was already too late. Just as they were about to leave, they heard the sound of helicopters. These helicopters belonged to the United States Police. Within moments, the police surrounded all of them from every side. The police ordered Ryan and his companions to surrender, or they would be shot. Hearing this, they all went down on their knees and surrendered. After the arrest, Ryan was trembling with fear. His mind was filled with only one thought, that he had walked onto the wrong path, where his life was now destroyed by fear and trouble. He kept regretting leaving his hockey career, and he felt that he should have listened to Nicole. After this arrest, all of them were taken to a federal detention center. Since Ryan was the mastermind behind this smuggling, he was charged with bringing a total of 50 kilograms of banned marijuana into America. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. After sentencing, he was sent to Washington State Prison, where he was kept in solitary confinement. Because of this, he did not see daylight for 500 days. This prison had around 350 inmates, and it was filled with dangerous prisoners. The moment Ryan entered, all of them began shouting loudly that they would kill him. Hearing this made Ryan's soul shiver. He started remembering his home, his parents, his wife, his child, and his hockey career, all of which he had risked for marijuana smuggling. Now Ryan was constantly haunted by the thought of how he would survive in this prison, and he was also terrified that the other prisoners might kill him. His biggest threat in this prison was from the Mexican Mafia. They could kill him anytime, because he was their competitor. They had already had many prisoners killed in a film-style manner. Not only the inmates, but even the guards of this prison were very dangerous. Their behavior was terrible, and they treated prisoners like animals. Once, a guard called Ryan into his room. Ryan was very scared. He thought that the guard might do something wrong to him. When Ryan reached the guard's room, the guard told him to take off his clothes. Hearing this, Ryan's blood ran cold. With no choice, he removed his clothes. But the guard merely searched him and let him go. Because the guard suspected that Ryan had drugs, this time Ryan was stripped completely naked. This left him extremely embarrassed, and it had a very deep and bad impact on his heart and mind. Meanwhile, one day in prison, Ryan's mother came to meet him. He told her that a ban had been placed on him entering America, which clearly meant that he could never meet his daughter who was living there. Now Ryan constantly remembered many of the things Nicole had told him before leaving, and he began living with regret every single day. Because of this mistake, he had lost everything he loved. And since he was banned from going to America, he could not even meet his daughter. Amid this struggle and pain, one day Ryan decided that he would restart his life. He began making connections with other prisoners inside the jail, and he told them that he was from British Columbia. Since British Columbia was known for growing high-quality marijuana, the other prisoners asked him if he could get them that marijuana. Ryan began to feel that if he built relationships with these prisoners, he might fall back into the same path again. So, to give his life a new start, he began taking counseling sessions, and at the same time, he joined the prison's hockey team. He realized that with the help of hockey, he could survive his sentence in this prison, because this was the only thing he truly loved. He also made a promise to himself that once he was released from prison, he would leave all the wrong things behind. After serving 1.5 years of his sentence, Ryan was released from prison. Along with this, he signed a contract with the government stating that he would never enter the United States again. But even though he had signed the contract, one question kept troubling his mind: if he could not meet his daughter in America, then what was the use of such freedom? He was haunted by the fear that he might never be able to see his daughter again. And it was this thought and fear that pushed him for the third time into the world of marijuana smuggling. This time, breaking his own promise, Ryan built a very large drug smuggling gang. After being released from jail, Ryan first reached Vancouver, and with the help of the connections he had made in prison, he started building a new team. But this time, the gang he was making was no ordinary gang. The people in this gang had trucks, boats, and even small planes, which they used to smuggle as much marijuana as possible. With the help of this new gang, Ryan began smuggling so much marijuana that he was now earning $100,000 per week. He had so much cash piling up that in order to hide it, he had to use shoe boxes, makeup kits, and even water tanks. Although he was making endless wealth, his life felt very incomplete. And this incompleteness came from not having his daughter, who was now 2.5 years old. He even tried several times to talk to his ex-wife Nicole, but she refused to speak with him. Because of this, he began using drugs, and slowly, he became addicted. Now he had become so emotionally weak that he started taking drugs every night just so he wouldn't feel anything. And this drug addiction eventually ruined both him and his smuggling business. Since he was constantly under the influence of drugs, he could no longer understand what he was doing, what was right, and what was wrong. During this time, along with smuggling marijuana, he also began smuggling cocaine. And this turned out to be the most harmful decision of his life. Ryan, in order to meet the demand for cocaine, began approaching all kinds of people, including Russian, Mexican, and Chinese mafia. He was now ready to go to any extent to fulfill the cocaine demand. But what he didn't realize was that he was playing with fire. And now these mafias were after his life because they suspected that he was stealing drugs from them and selling them to their customers. Soon Ryan began receiving death threats over the phone, day and night. He was now living in constant fear. One night, a caller told him that he had stolen 35 kilograms of cocaine from them, and that they would not spare him. The next morning, Ryan went to a restaurant in downtown Vancouver for coffee. Suddenly, a group of men came and sat next to him. They were gangsters. One of them told Ryan that in exchange for the stolen cocaine, he had to give them $2 million, otherwise they would kill him. To save himself, Ryan lied to them, saying that he was only a marijuana smuggler and had nothing to do with cocaine. But they refused to believe him and gave him 1 day's time to arrange the payment. After 1 day, Ryan met all the gang members again and repeated the same thing. This time they told him that to prove his honesty, he would have to take a lie detector test. For Ryan, this was the last chance to escape. Seeing so many guns pointed at him, he became terrified, and his mind filled with twisted questions. The lie detector test began. He was asked 5 questions. Had he been to Los Angeles in the past 3 weeks? Had he stolen anything from Los Angeles? Had he ever stolen anything from this gang? Had he ever smuggled cocaine? Where was the stolen 35 kilograms of cocaine? Although Ryan only had to answer with yes or no, it was extremely difficult for him. In fear and panic, he answered all the questions, but he had no idea whether he had passed the test or not. And this time, Ryan's luck worked. He passed the test and was freed. After leaving, he went straight home. Standing in front of the mirror, he thought about what he wanted to become and what he had actually become. Because of one wrong decision, he had reached a point where his life was filled with nothing but drugs and crime, and his wife and child were far away from him. Thinking about this, he began crying loudly. Now he had two choices, either to continue on this path or to start his life fresh. This time, Ryan decided to leave everything behind. By 2011, he became an activist, where he helped save people from human trafficking. He also realized that there were so many young people destroying their lives by smuggling drugs. To bring these misguided youths onto the right path, he began telling them his own story, how many mistakes he had made, how heavy the price he had paid for them, and how they too could leave everything and restart their lives, just as he had done. It is said that when a person starts moving toward goodness, then good things also begin to happen. The same happened with Ryan. Seeing him doing good for society, the American government lifted the ban on him, and now he could go to America and meet his daughter. This was the story of a talented boy who could have become a great hockey player in Canada but, because of his wrong decisions, chose such a path that made him lose everything he loved. But in the end, he chose the right path, though he had to pay a very heavy price for it. Today, Ryan has become an international motivational speaker who helps guide people in the right direction.